December 13th, 1862. The fog lifts, revealing 55,000 Union soldiers arrayed like a deadly mirror before Stonewall Jackson. What happens next isn't just battle. It's carnage he would never forget. Jackson watches, waits, as they march closer. 900 yards, 800. His guns stay silent. Then 14 batteries explode. A storm of iron shreds men like paper, but the Union tide crashes through a fatal gap. Flanks collapse. Brigadier General Maxcy Gregg, scholar, warrior, is shot dead, rallying his men. Chaos engulfs the woods. Desperate Southern brigades, Hoke, Walker, Atkinson, charge into the inferno. They drive the enemy back, but heroes fall. Atkinson captured, Lawton mortally wounded, pushing onward. Jackson sees the slaughter and makes a chilling choice, a suicidal dusk counterattack. Artillery leads, instantly met by a wall of fire. The attempt dies. Silence falls. Jackson surveys the field, not victory, but a crimson tide. Thousands shattered. Fields strewn with broken men. This is what Stonewall Jackson truly saw. The eyewitness account lost to horror. But before we begin, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel to support our community. By around 10 o'clock that morning, once the fog had cleared, the enemy's deployments became distinctly observable across the open field, dividing us from the river. Their formations precisely reflected our own battle array. They extended across my entire front and reached far leftward toward Fredericksburg. I judged the strength immediately facing me to be about 55,000 troops. Pelham, leading a battery from Stuart's horse artillery, rapidly engaged the foe's cannon, initiating a fierce and dynamic firefight that lasted almost an hour. Soon after Pelham retired from his station on the Port Royal Road under directive, the enemy redirected their cannonade toward the heights held by Lieutenant Colonel Walker, and the woods largely filled by our men. This bombardment seemed designed to elicit a response that could expose our troop dispositions or gun emplacements. Getting no answer, the adversary evidently concluded minimal opposition would greet their effort to take the hill. Therefore, near 11 o'clock, they pushed forward along my flank, advancing parallel to the Port Royal Road and approaching the track to Hamilton's Crossing. With Pelham's battery now gone and their way unblocked, the foe wheeled to confront frontward, marching in battle array over the level ground straight at Walker's post. Our batteries withheld their fire until the hostile lines came within 800 yards. At that instant, 14 guns exploded, delivering a storm of rounds and shells into their files, compelling them first to stop, then waver, and ultimately fall back in confusion. Close to 1 o'clock, the main attack began with swift, heavy cannon discharges. Protected by this severe and exact bombardment, their infantry and substantial bodies advanced, finding some shelter in a wooded tract past the railroad. Batteries positioned on our right flank swept their flanks with ruinous precision. Though plainly staggered by our rapid and aimed artillery fire, the Federal soldiers, forming the core of Franklin's Grand Division, reinforced by parts of Hooker's Grand Division, recovered resolve and drove onward. Nearing to point-blank distance, they withstood a deadly intersecting hail of rifle fire and cannon shot, turning the engagement into a savage and gory struggle. Despite grievous casualties, they rushed ahead, exploiting an interval General A.P. Hill had allowed between Archer's and Lane's sectors. Superior numbers flooded through this rupture, outflanking Lane's right and Archer's left. Struck at once from ahead and behind, the 14th Tennessee and 19th Georgia regiments of Archer's brigade, together with Lane's whole brigade, were forced to retire. Yet this withdrawal came after a valiant and stubborn resistance, even while Archer's brigade encountered extreme danger. His right flank, wheeling to meet the menace, battled with steadfast determination, substantially slowing the enemy's advance until support came up. The brigade, commanded by General Thomas, stationed as earlier noted, moved forward courageously and joined with the 7th and parts of the 18th North Carolina from Lane's brigade, violently repulsing the Federal soldiers who had broken Lane's defenses. Simultaneously, a considerable enemy body penetrated the woods behind the lines occupied by Lane's and Archer's brigades, engaging Gregg's brigade. Taken by surprise, his infantry fell into disarray. While reforming these men, Brigadier General Maxcy Gregg was hit at the front, mortally wounded. General Gregg represented courage and culture, personifying lofty principles and inflexible integrity. His service to the fight for independence had been immense, and his premature demise signified a terrible blow to the country. Colonel Hamilton, taking charge of the brigade now, promptly confronted the emergency. Employing the surviving 4 regiments and 1 company of marksmen, he executed a violent assault. The enemy's grasp on their captured ground was fleeting. The secondary line rapidly strengthened the primary one. Lawton's brigade, headed first by Colonel Atkins and then Colonel Evans. Trimble's brigade, under R.F. Hoke. Early's brigade, commanded by Colonel Walker, all overseen by Brigadier General Early, along with the 47th and 22nd Virginia regiments from Colonel Brockenbrough's command, pressed ahead with unyielding force to assist the forward units. On Taliaferro's flank, the 2nd Virginia of Paxton's brigade encountered a segment of the foe, who pulled back after slight opposition. The fight inside the trees was quick and decisive. The enemy's additional progress was stopped. Pushed back with serious losses, they retired from the woods to the railroad. The 2 regiments under Brockenbrough's authority, Archer's 1st Tennessee and 5th Alabama Battalion, together with the 3 brigades led by Colonels Hoke, Walker, and Atkinson, chased the retreating Federal troops to the railroad where the foe momentarily stood firm. Hoke and Atkinson subsequently mounted an assault upon them, causing severe losses and taking many prisoners. Their advance did not stop there. Impelled by an ardor that attests to their outstanding bravery and commitment, this small but resolute body drove the beaten enemy in unyielding chase until they pushed so far within reach of Federal cannon and rifle fire that proceeding farther would have been a rash act of courage. In this audacious charge, Atkinson was badly wounded and seized by the foe. Colonel E.P. Lawton, the brigade's assistant adjutant general, though hurt early in the movement when his mount went down, continued forward afoot, reforming the brigade with gallant resolve until he received a mortal wound. On the extreme left flank, the day saw significant action. Previously, the enemy had opened with 16 guns against the left, later increasing to 24. The commanders obeyed instructions, holding fire until Federal skirmishers and principal columns advanced against posts occupied by Captains Davidson and Brockenbrough. These thrusts were quickly thrown back with canister, but the guns' positions, now exposed, attracted fierce enemy shelling. Our batteries replied with spirited counterfire. When Captain Raines's battery became ineffective through flawed ammunition, it was withdrawn. Captain Latimer, acting artillery chief for the division, was directed to place guns farther forward and left. These last pieces were served expertly, suffering heavy skirmisher fire, yet compelling their retreat. Their accurate, swift discharges inflicted heavy losses. As Federal infantry moved up, it was resolved to retire Brockenbrough's batteries and post them in front of the railroad before hostile forces could secure the woods to the right and rear, a spot the enemy soon penetrated. The withdrawal was covered by Lieutenant Colonel Hill of the 7th North Carolina. Repulsed on every side, the enemy rapidly rearranged their lines and indicated readiness to renew the attack. I waited for a period anticipating their advance, but when no movement occurred, I determined, if advisable, to assume the initiative myself. The hostile artillery was sighted with such expertise that moving our troops across the open field incurred grave peril. Yet the possible gains from a successful effort appeared sufficiently persuasive to justify arrangements. To reduce hazard, artillery would precede the infantry, and the action was postponed until dusk to allow retreat under darkness if needed. Unforeseen difficulties postponed readiness until late afternoon. The foremost gun had scarcely advanced 100 yards past the woods when enemy cannon roared again, deluging our front with such overpowering fire that I judged it essential to cancel the intended operation. By nightfall the fields ran crimson. Thousands lay shattered, frozen in the mud of a hill. Stonewall Jackson never surrendered. But the horror raises brutal questions. Why did Jackson wait until 800 yards to unleash hell? Could Burnside's men ever have taken that hill? And what truly broke first, Hill's lines or the Union's will? Jackson saw it all, the valor, the folly, the rivers of blood. Yet he planned a counterattack at dusk. Madness or genius denied by a wall of federal fire? This is the truth of Fredericksburg. Not a tidy victory, but a warning carved in corpses. So I ask you, was Jackson's restraint brilliant or brutal? Could the Union have won with one more charge? Would you have followed him into that dusk? The fields are silent now, but history still screams for answers.